roll. We're live.
Okay, the hour of 7 p.m. has arrived.
Okay.
I'm going to call to order the regular meeting of the Finance, Organization, and Personnel Committee. This meeting is being broadcast live on the City of Keene YouTube channel and Channel 1302. The video is also streamed on the city's website and is posted on the website by the end of the next business day, barring any technical difficulties. Copies of the printed agenda are available in the wall pockets just as you enter this meeting room. The public and other city councilors will be recognized to ask questions and make comments on the agenda item under discussion. After being recognized, all remarks are to be made through the chair. We're not recognize an individual for a second time until everyone who wishes has had a chance to speak to the topic. Anyone who wishes to address the committee is asked to go to one of the microphones in the room and identify themselves by name and address prior to speaking. And written comments from the public will be accepted at the city clerk's office until Tuesday at 1 p.m. And our minute taker participates remotely, so please remember to turn on your microphone and speak loudly. Got a quorum? Got the whole group? First item on the agenda, Councilor Remy.
I'm gonna sit here. I don't wanna move. So I wanted, similar to what Councilor Favelis did with the Keno piece, the state has put in a couple things this year that can go on the ballot for a vote. One of those was Keno, and the other one is around this concept of social districts. So I'm going to try to steal some of the attorney's thunder. So social districts are generally that you could outline a space within the city somewhere that you would designate as a social district. You'd put up signs designating the area, and any state license holders that are located within the perimeter there, they have to touch the perimeter of it, would be allowed to serve alcohol out into that perimeter under the assumption that they are they have to be operating in a special cup. It has to be a recognizable format to the city. The ones I've seen before are clear cups, and it's like a clear plastic cup. On one side has to be the logo of the social district. That could be a Keene K, that could be whatever we want it to be to recognize the downtown, if it was the downtown. And the other side is the license holder that gave that out. So the license holders have to kind of opt in, they buy the cups, and they become a part of the process. There's a dozen ways to do this, but that's generally the rules are set up that you have to do with those pieces. People can't carry the cup from one place to another. So they can't like carry it into the next bar. They can carry it on the street, they can walk to the next place. But functionally, that's kind of the idea. The question we're being asked is not to design it, not to set it up, not to figure out exactly how we do it or what rules or what days or anything like that. It's just to put it out to the electorate, or put it out to our constituents on whether they're open to the idea. Because if it has to go through a general election process, it has to be on the ballot to be approved. So if we don't put it through this one, we can't do it again until 2027. So the idea would be get the idea out there, ask if people are open to it, ask if people are interested in the idea. And then from there, this council, whether I'm still on it at the point or not, because depending on if we vote on it in December or not, would be set up to design the rules around it. And you know, I have like great ideas around you could do it downtown just during events. That's kind of the city's pushed me that way because I do it every day. But the idea of just doing it during events and that you could manage it that way, there's going to be a lot of questions around other stuff for that. But generally, that's how this process would work. That's what I tried to outline in here of like, we can define the who, when, where, how it would work. The question that I want this council to think about today, or this committee to think about today, is whether it should go on the ballot and let the voters decide. But I think the attorney's going to tune me up on all kinds of fun stuff around that.
Yes, please.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Counselor. You did steal a couple things I was going to say. But like Counselor Remy said, the question in front of you is a ballot question. So whether to put allowing social districts or not on the ballot is really all you're asked here. Unlike when we talked about putting Keno on the ballot, though, because social districts is new, I'm going to take this opportunity to explain a little bit of what's in the statute, make sure we set our expectations, and if you have questions as we go. I may not have answers because it's new, but let me know. I'm going to just go through the statute very quick. So like the counselor said, social districts are defined in this new statute. They're defined as an outdoor area where people can drink alcohol. The area expressly does not include any license holders' internal premises or their licensed areas outside. So we're talking basically everything that connects them. And then the licensees that can participate have to be within that social district. So somebody who's outside of it can't sell beverages inside of it. Now, under the statute, there's some logistical requirements on the city that wants to host this. There's requirements on the licensees that want to participate, and then there's a couple requirements on the customers who will frequent it. So for the city's requirements, the first step, of course, would be once it's on the ballot, if it's approved, it comes back to city council to develop what it's going to look like. The city council would have to map out the boundaries, the logistical plans for it. The city's also required to include, quote, management and maintenance plans, which is not specifically explained, but it is on us for maintenance and management of the entire social district. The city also has to post the plans on its website, which includes like a rendering of exactly where it is. And we have to submit that map to the Liquor Commission, as well as the days and hours of when it's operating. So all those logistical things. And then as far as in the licensees, like the counselor did say, there is a lot of, it's very funny how specific it is in the statute about what the cup needs to look like, what it needs to say. It needs to have a logo for the social district, needs to have a logo of the place it came from. So every participant is gonna have a different one with their own logo and also the district on it. And has to be a certain size. And then as far as the logistics on people who frequent them, they can only purchase the beverages from places that are contiguous with the social district, and you can't just like bring alcohol in from somewhere else to drink inside there. And then you cannot leave the social district with anything you've bought unless you're re-entering the exact place you bought it from. So I want to circle back to the maintenance and management plans real quick and make a plug for the city's concerns about liability and risk management, of course. So like I was explaining, the social districts is going to be on city property footprint. It excludes everything that's owned privately, which is a very different concept than anything we've seen before, other than when we've hosted events and allowed licensees to use our property temporarily. So that brings a city's premises liability into the conversation. Of course, drinking at an establishment or in a sidewalk cafe, somebody would be under that premises insurance. You know, if we go drink at one of the restaurants, their insurance is covering that. Once you leave that, now we're talking the city's insurance. You're talking the city's liability. That's why I'm taking time to talk about this. So under state law, there are specific things that the city has immunity for, and then there's specific things the city is very much responsible for. One of the things we're expressly responsible for is the maintenance of our premises. We don't have immunity for that. There are caps per claim, which come in about $325,000 a person or $1 million for one event involving multiple people. And that's a statutory cap for like a slip and fall event or a trip or some sort of issue on our premises where someone gets a personal injury. If there is private insurance that covers, that cap gets replaced by whatever the cap on the insurance is, so it could be beyond that. And there is also there's some specifics around sidewalks specifically that might come into play. It's under a different statute, but we're also expressly liable. There's some different prerequisites to go down the sidewalks liability. But the biggest thing to take away from that I want to emphasize is that those are well-established causes of action that we've seen before, but this new statute may not even follow like the case law we've seen, the liability we've seen under those two statutes. What's most important to me is that the statute is brand new and it creates potentially new liability, a new duty on the city, what we've never seen before, and we're not sure what a court would say for that or how it would come out if someone's injured there. I did speak with Primex, our insurer, and they share all of my concerns, which was very validating to say, like, well, nope, we've never seen that before, and that's a huge expansion of liability. They, of course, will work towards, and so did the city, working towards making something like that as safe as possible, just like we do with all our protocols when we do licensed events. But they did make it clear that, that's a unique health, safety, security issue we've not come across before. So I suspect there'll be a couple other questions we can talk about with insurance if they come up, but I'll stop boring you with the legalese for now.
Thanks, Chair. So again, I'm going back to the fact that I agree that there's a bunch of stuff we have to figure out with how exactly it would work and what the liability would look like and how those things would happen. My point is that if we don't do this now, we can't change our mind until 2027. So that's why I'm incentivized to just at least put it on the ballot. The public can decide if they're interested in it or not. And then that gives time to figure out how we would do it. That said, question on the, I already think I know the answer, but if it was during a licensed event, say, I'm going to pick on Food Fest being an event that we hold downtown, if we were to issue it, we already issue $1 million coverage of liability to the city for our premises and for our use of the space. If it was during one of those licensed events where the space is ours, that liability would transfer to the event holder, yes or no?
So, good question, and I was thinking about this today. So that is potentially very likely, but as I had mentioned earlier too, that this is a new statute, a new piece that was turning over today, is that participants who want to serve alcohol downtown in the social district would potentially have an argument that they don't have to agree to things like that the statute just creates a right for them to participate no matter what kind of distribution of liability there is. I don't know how that would work out. Maybe if it were participation in an event, which we control, we could limit that. But, you know, this does open it up to people who want to participate potentially by right.
Questions up here? Comments? Go ahead.
If we put this out to the voters and the voters say yes, but we as a city council, we look at this, we get more information, and we believe it's too risky for the city, we do not have to follow through on the voters' opinion or support.
That's right. It wouldn't be something in existence until the city council did an ordinance to create the social district. So if they allowed it, you'd still have to automate that.
Okay, thank you.
Members of the public? Counselor?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jacob Favalis, Main Street, and a Ward 1 counselor. Just want to lend my support to this proposal. I think it makes sense to pose this question to the voters, and if they say yes, let the council kind of dig into the specifics. But I don't see a reason not to have the conversation, and the first step to having the conversation, as Councilor Remy pointed out, is to asking the voters to let us have the conversation. So much like Keno, when we have the opportunity to go to the voters on these questions, I think that makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hutchinson?
That's it.
Sure. Don't forget the button.
There, green light. Thank you, Councilor Powers. I am Bradford Hutchinson, and I am a candidate for mayor in the 2025 municipal election. I need to state that up front. And full disclosure, I have not had time to read into detail about what this ordinance is exactly. I do understand the general concept of it, that it will create a space where currently we do not allow public consumption of alcohol in the city. We have an open container ordinance. And this would allow some freedom for the downtown bars and restaurants in certain areas. I've just been listening to the conversation here, and as usual, Amanda Palmieri is doing an excellent job trying to cross all the T's and dot all the I's, and I heard some good questions. My understanding of it is if I knew full details, I might be more in favor of it. If I knew full details, I might be more opposed to it. But my understanding, this is not about the ordinance itself. Tonight's question is whether it's going to be placed on the ballot in November before the voters. And so that's specifically what I want to address, is should this be placed before the voters? And in the strongest possible terms, yes, this must be on the ballot in November. This must be placed before the voters. There's a couple of things I want to say about that. It's possible that we could have a low turnout, or the voters who show up to vote for it might not be representative of the voters as a whole. For example, we have a low turnout and the vote is strongly against it. Well, what if most of the people against it showed up and vote? Most people are in favor of it, but they didn't show up and vote. So the results of the vote might not be representative of the population as a whole. I think that's a possibility. I don't see how we could prevent that or check that, but We have the voting process. We have the ability to put it on the ballot. This is a new thing. It wouldn't be right to the voters to not put it on the ballot. The council would be saying, we don't want to give the voters a chance to weigh in. We don't want to hear what the voters think. We're going to make a decision all by ourselves and not ask you voters for your opinion. That's, I think, what we'd be saying if it's not on the ballot. And this is why, in strongest terms, yes, I think it must be on the ballot. And we have to be careful how it's worded on the ballot. There's no final wording for what's going to be on the ballot in November, so we've got a month or so to flesh that out and look at the details and exactly how do we want to word it on the ballot. And we want to be as honest and transparent and keep it simple. The request to the voters, keep it as simple as possible. It's a yes or no. Do you want to go down? It's like we're at a crossroads. Do you want to go down the road of keep everything the way it is, the status quo, no changes? Or do you want to take a chance that this is something that could draw more people to downtown, generate more downtown revenue, increase the overall atmosphere of downtown, as well managed and controlled as it looks like it's going to be? I don't anticipate there's going to be any major problems with it. I would like to go forward with that mindset that the council is competent and the city staff has done this kind of thing. They're very good, very impressed with the city staff, the work that they do, and I think they're going to do an excellent job on that. And I would like to see the council do their job, put it on the ballot, put it before the voters, advertise it sufficiently, let the voters know what this is about, which the city does an excellent job through the city clerk's office of communicating to the public what's going on. And then we're going to get maximum feedback from the voting public. Let the voting public have their say, yay or nay. And we can go from there, but we will have given the voting public a chance to have their say. And that's what I think is most important, what this council must do. And I thank you very much, Councilor Powers.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, I had the same question that Counselor Roberts had in terms of like if they vote in favor and then we discuss it further on the council and decide maybe it's not a great idea, or maybe we decide it's a wonderful idea. But I do support the idea of the public being able to weigh in and have, vote on it. So I would support this.
City clerk.
Absolutely.
I just wanted to, Terry Hood, City Clerk, just briefly speak about the procedural side of things. And I wasn't going to because I know this is very similar to Keno, and essentially we have a window of opportunity here where if the council doesn't make a decision by October 2nd, there won't be enough time to set the public hearing. It has to happen between 15 and 30 days prior to the election where it will be voted on. And there is a 7-day requirement for public notice. So October 2nd is our last opportunity to make a decision. October 16th, we would have to hold our hearing. Regardless of whether the question goes forward, the question of putting this on the ballot isn't really the voters' discretion. The question will be on the ballot, and the public hearing is really just an opportunity for them to learn more about it. And I wanted to also mention, because of Mr. Hutchinson's comment about the wording of the question, the statute lays out the wording very specifically, and we would have to stay within what the statute requires. So that was all I wanted to add, if anyone has questions.
Thank you, Terry.
Thank you. Anyone else? Any other? So we're comfortable saying that it's going to come back to the council at the time, which really gives a few of us 2 shots at it, correct? Changes, okay. All right. If there's no further discussion, we need a motion.
Move to recommend the question of whether to allow social districts in the city of Keene to be placed on the 2025 municipal general election ballot, and that a public hearing be scheduled for October 16th.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further members of the council, the committee? In that case, all in favor? No one. Unanimous. Look, you can't vote again.
I'm not
You already
voting.
voted once.
I just want to plant a seed now that we voted on it of the idea of during a festival being able to do that, or imagine like a downtown sidewalk sale, being able to have an event where somebody could wander through and, go from place to place. There's some fun visuals of it. I'm not trying to, we've already voted, I'm not trying to sell the idea that we can't vote on yet, but I think it'd be fun.
Thank you. Next item, acceptance of donations.
Good evening. Natalie Darcy, Human Services Manager. So it's that time of year again, and we're moving that the Finance Organization and Personnel Committee recommend that the city manager be authorized to do all things necessary to accept donations associated with the city's 2025 holiday sponsorship program. So annually, we contact sponsors who provide gifts and holiday items for families and older adults. The sponsored individuals are clients who have received assistance from the Human Services in the past year, families who have children with special needs, and people who have been struggling to make ends meet are considered for sponsorship. The goal of the program is to provide holiday gifts, food, gift cards to those in need who will use them and use their own resources to pay their basic needs in January. Human Services staff appreciates the support of the council to this annual project and provides happy holidays for those we serve. Families are so appreciative and humbled by the generosity of the community. And we always appreciate our sponsors.
Okay, questions here? Members of the public? Motion, please.
Move to recommend that the city manager be authorized to do all things necessary to accept donations associated with the city's 2025 holiday sponsorship program.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Committee? In that case, yes, ma'am.
I would just say that this is a wonderful program, and I thank you for helping to make it happen.
Oh, it's awesome. I'm going on 17 years of holiday sponsorships, and it's been great.
It's amazing.
All right, all in favor? No one's opposed, unanimous. Thank you. Next item. Gonna keep you going. How about a little bit of an introduction as to why we are doing this? Did we bring it,
Why we're doing
yeah, well, did we have a request
Yeah.
from others?
Yeah,
Okay.
I can take a stab at it, and
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong, but I know during the budget process, this comes up every year. And there was a request at the time that the last budget went through
Yeah.
to review the process before we get to the next budget process.
Okay, all right. It's all yours. Thank you.
Alrighty. So usually we're tasked with taking the lead on the outside agency funding. And we have put together a committee, and it consists of employees from various departments, including Human Services. We like to have a city council member to work and to assure that all nonprofit organizations that wish to apply for funding have the opportunity to do so. Applications for funding are sent to organizations requesting an application by mid-December typically. A notice is printed in the Keene Sentinel, offering the opportunity to anybody who wants to apply to contact the office, and will assure that an application goes their way. Organizations applying are invited to meet with the committee. The committee meets sometime in February of that year, of the budget year, and discuss their organization, talk about what they do for the city and how they can save the Human Services Department money through their organization. The committee then makes recommendations for funding to the city manager based in part on each agency's response under the established criteria. And I think part of this, they wanted your input as to, do you want to keep some of these criteria? Do you want to add some criteria? So what they are is the impact on the city if the agency were not in operation. The agency provides a service with a direct financial impact on expenditures of city departments. The number and percentage of Keene residents served by this agency, other local service agencies providing similar services, and the financial impact of prevention and intervention services that potentially saves future city spending. And then demonstrated efforts to cooperate and avoid duplication of services with other agencies. As I said, they're usually in mid-February, and then the recommendations are made during budget review. We typically receive about 12 to 13 requests annually. It does not include the shelters. They're on their own line items and included in the general assistance budget. So this is what the city manager had asked me to come forward and to see, what, if this process is acceptable, if there's anything you'd like to see changed or added, subtracted.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The biggest things I've had concerns with in the past are really around the impact of the city if the agency was not in operation, and tied really closely, I think it's almost the same question of financial impact in terms of prevention and intervention services that potentially saves future city spending. And those are the two where I get stuck sometimes when an organization comes before us and I'm like, yes, I agree, you have a wonderful cause, and so does every nonprofit in the city, but why should this one be eligible for taxpayer funding, right? To say that this is an organization that, if it didn't exist, would cost our taxpayers money anyway, because we're, as a city, liable for the service they're providing in some way, shape, or form, where they're preventing something from becoming a city liability. The shelters obviously fall into that. The community kitchen falls into that, where it's like something if they didn't provide their service, we'd have to pay for it anyway. But there are examples of ones that come before us every year where frequently when it comes to the council level, it's almost not worth the fight, right? Because if we go after one, it's like, why this one, not this one? Because they all have a good cause. And that's one where in the committee level, I wish more weight was put to those pieces of almost estimating so if we didn't exist, it would cost the city $20,000 more, right? And estimating what that would be. And then that's probably a stretch, because I imagine that would be really hard to calculate. But it would be love to say that, like, hey, we invest 10 here and it gets me back 30 on prevention. And having that conversation with our constituents would be so much easier if we could show that return to say, yes, if I didn't do this, I'd have to spend this money anyway. There are a number of organizations that, some of them have actually fallen off of funding for that reason, but that's really the criteria that I care about, at least.
Others up here? Go ahead.
I was just curious, like, why, I read this, and it says that 100 Nights in Southwestern Community Services are in general assistance budget fund, but why? They used to be, didn't they used to be in the agency funding? No? It never
100
were?
Nights was in outside agency funding. SCS was not. That was always under a memorandum of understanding.
Okay, so I guess that's what I'm thinking of, was the 100 Nights shelter. So,
And
what,
100 Nights now has a memorandum of understanding.
okay, thank you.
Which would have been authorized by the city council at some point in time. So, originally, it was an outside agency when they were just starting to get up. But over time, they met a lot of, it's a long time ago, really. Yes, ma'am.
The authorization could be part of the budget process. You might not remember it as an individual agenda item.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for the work that you put into putting this together and generally with the budget every year, so thank you for that. I think the process, in my opinion, generally works pretty well. I would say, share concerns with my fellow Counselor Remy around where some of this impact kind of stems from, but at the same time, some of these impacts can be a bit more nebulous of, they might be a tertiary effect that might not be an immediate impact or dollar impact to the city, but might be something that is preventative down the line. So if we were to change these, I mean, it might even suggest moving away from the financial impact and just the impact on the city. I think that first bullet point covers that topic broadly very well. I think, although I do like the criteria in general, you know, I know, as it was said, and this kind of came up because of the last budget process, and one of the counselors may have made a few amendments on the floor at the end there. And of course, that was due to a number of changes that happened from, you know, at the state and federal level, and were done in kind of response to some of that. So I personally think the timing of the committee meeting makes sense. I think the criteria makes sense. I think the committee does a good job. So for those that haven't been part of that committee process, I hope we can get some of those other counselors involved going forward, because it definitely is an important process to be part of.
Members of the public? Okay. So how would you like to handle this?
It's informational.
Okay.
Move to recommend the overview of the outside agency funding process be accepted as informational.
Second.
Okay, so moved and seconded. Any further discussion here? In that case, all in favor? Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And item number 4 is class allocation change. The HR director. Nice to see you.
Yes, good to be here.
How much longer?
I'm here.
She-
Someday you'll wake up and I'll have emptied my office and I won't be, but no rush. We're just moving through things. Assistant City Manager, HR Director Beth Fox. I am here this evening with a proposal to make an amendment to the ordinances of the city to add a job title. It's important to note that this proposal does not add a position. It only adds a job title. And there, as you know, we've been through, we're in the process of restructuring and rebuilding our community development, building and housing inspection code enforcement services. We have had an individual who's been providing oversight for both departments. This proposed position, which is a building construction manager, is the start of our process to rebuild within the division itself supervisory responsibility. The building construction manager, as proposed, would supervise the building inspectors and the permit technician who staff that side of the function. And he would also serve as the deputy building official, providing building official duties when the primary building official, which is the fire marshal, is absent. Right now, as you know, Rick Wood is serving as the city's building official and health official. That position is vacant currently on our salary schedule, but this is inserting a position that I think will begin to rebuild the department. So I'm happy to answer any questions if there are. The position proposed is an S19 position. I apologize. I was here this morning at 7 making breakfast for employees, so I'm a little tongue-twisted. S19 position, it grades comparably in responsibility to our other S19 positions. And I'd ask that you support it and move it forward.
Okay, questions here? Members of the public? In that case,
Move to recommend the adoption of ordinance 0-2025-31.
Second.
moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor? No one's opposed, unanimous. Thank you. We're adjourned.
6:35.